Hey, wait, Nikki.
No, you know what? I'm done waiting, Leo. You know, there's a reason why they call it Little Italy. Because nothing ever changes here.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Mediocre Movie Majors.
I'm your host. I'm half of the hosts, Katherine.
I'm your co-host, Ryder. That's the word you were looking for there.
I'm your co-host, Katherine. Anyways, we have a really fun week this week.
Do we? We got some real lows.
We have some highs and some lows.
If you wanted an example of why 3D animation shouldn't be filmed, just watch this episode.
Yeah. We have so many hot takes this episode, so you're just gonna have to listen and...
We did watch a few really good movies, though.
Yeah.
We got a lot of movies to talk about. Some really bad ones, some really good ones, and a few just okay ones.
Oh.
The first movie this week is Tommy Wiseau's hit cinema, The Room.
Do you want to chat about this?
Yeah, honestly, this is a great film, and I think bookending this episode with this film and the last film we talk about this week, I think is really going to be sort of special.
Oh my god, honestly, that's so true.
Because this film
that's so true.
Clearly has been made by someone who's seen a movie before, you know? The story behind how this got made is such a beautiful one, and it's such a fun, campy movie. So we watched this for my birthday because Gremlins 2 got taken off HBO Max.
Which we need to talk about.
HBO Max has been taking off every good movie they have on their streaming service, and it's been bothering the hell out of me.
We have a real beef to pick with Mr. Max.
HBO used to be so good, and this rebrand has destroyed it by killing its libraries. It's horrible. This Warner Brothers shit is nasty.
Yeah, so we watched The Room, which if you don't know the lore behind The Room, it's widely known as the worst movie ever made. Yes or no?
It's one of those cult classic movies, so bad it's funny.
It stars, directed, and starring Mr. Tommy Wiseau.
Yep.
Who you may know from
The Room. And if you've seen The Disaster Artist starring James Franco,
and Dave Franco.
That's sort of the about of how this film came.
Which, by the way, that movie kind of slaps.
It's really good, especially if you're a fan of The Room.
If you're a fan of cinema.
If you'd like to know the story of how this movie came to be.
If you're a fan of the Franco brothers.
So for this, we watched it with a drinking game, which greatly enhanced the experience. That's how I would recommend doing it.
As long as you're over 21.
As long as you're over 21 and you drink responsibly and safely.
Drink responsibly.
Because, you're supposed to do it with light seltzers and beer, okay? Don't do it with anything harder than that.
Yes.
Please, for your own safety.
And honestly, I think the beauty of this movie is just kind of having a fun time with it. You know, it's a cult classic, so there's so much we could go into with the lore.
There's a lot we could go into with the lore, but in terms of plot, it's basically there's a lot. There's a lot that gets introduced, and very few plots are followed through.
Which I think is
the main plot follows around Tommy Wiseau and how his soon-to-be fiance, soon-to-be wife, I don't really know what
I think she's his fiance.
Fiance, maybe. She doesn't love him anymore and loves his best friend, Mark. And so there's a whole relationship triangle drama, and it's really campy and corny. But then there's also a bunch of side plots that just get thrown around, at one point, her mom is oh, I have breast cancer.
Some guy got messed up with some guys doing a drug deal?
One of his
does that ever come back? No. His
friend who he's paying his college tuition or whatever got messed up in a wrong drug deal, and I don't know. Denny is such a weird character. I love his inclusion in the film. I wish there was more characters like Denny in other movies. It would be so good. It would be so good. Anyway, this is an obvious 5-bagger because anything less is criminal.
For the camp of it all.
It's really campy, and it's just so bad it's funny.
And I think that the drinking game is definitely the way to go about this.
And it's so quotable, too.
I definitely think, again, we've talked about this a couple of times with movies. I think this is one that's meant to be viewed with some friends, a couple of drinks, be a little bit silly with this one. You cannot take this movie seriously. And if you do, you're doing it wrong.
Speaking of movies that are not supposed to be taken seriously, next up is 2012's animated Foodfight. Yes, you thought this came out in 2001. No. This comes out 2012 because this was in production for 8 years.
So
there's just as an interesting story as how this film got made. Food Fight is an absolutely horrible film. Not even in a so bad it's fun. It's a so bad it's bad.
I had a little bit of fun with it.
There's a little bit of fun, but
the uncomfortable, uncanny feeling I got watching the rest of it definitely overshadowed any fun that I was having. It has a 1.3 average rating.
Yeah.
Guys, like...
A few people gave it 5 bags. I'm more interested in the people that gave it like 3 bags.
Right?
Like, I'm very interested in
the
those 114 people that gave it
3.5. What are you doing?
Yeah, like, why 3.5? What's so middle of the road about this movie? It's just Charlie Sheen and a ton of other voice actors like Hilary Duff got somehow inducted into doing this. And it's if you've watched JonTron, you've already seen all there is.
So
cold farted itch, 1 bag.
For those of you guys who don't know what this movie is, it is basically like a giant... I want to say it's a giant advertisement.
It's kind of like if Toy Story was unimaginative and boring and just used to shell out to like corporations.
Yeah, so this is basically, yeah, like if instead of the toys coming to life, it was like the brands from your favorite...
Like Tony the Tiger jumps off the cereal box. But there's no relation to the real world to like the small world. Like the mascot world. You were so confused. You're like, where are we? And I'm like, that's the grocery store. And you're like, what?
It would be a little bit even less confusing if this film is like half of it is like licensed characters. You get like the Twinkie guy, Mrs. Butterworth, the Vlasic pickle guy, Mr. Clean, and then the actual main characters are just like made up for like, so this main dog, I have no idea what he's supposed to be.
He's Deck's
like,
dog detective.
What does he represent? Because the plot of the movie
justice.
The plot of the movie is that they're all like mascots for brands.
Yeah, well, he's
what brand is he?
It doesn't matter.
Anyways,
1 bag.
This movie
1 bag
does feature a really slay song, Brand X.
Brand X, it's simple and plain. Brand X, it's different but all the same.
It's simple and plain. Anyways, it's just like not a good movie. I think the only like funny thing about this was that you could like maybe make an Elon Musk meme with like X.
People have.
Okay.
They already did.
Anyways.
So
moving on.
It's just so bad it's bad. 1 bag.
1 bag.
Food Fight gets 1 bag.
Food Fight gets 1 bag.
Sure. Okay, moving on to the next movie that's actually so bad it's good. Samurai Cop. Now, this is a movie about... And so it was made in the year 1991, sort of riding off the success of all the other cop movies like Kindergarten Cop and RoboCop and all the
Cops,
samurai kung fu type action movies, you know.
Kung fu. I like that.
It's a 1991 B movie called Samurai Cop, and this is such a cheesy film. There is B grade effects of people losing limbs. The main character is this whitest motherfucker who doesn't know how to speak any lick of Japanese. Can't pronounce half the words. Crazy because I have no idea what city this takes place in. I guess it's supposed to be LA.
It's so clearly LA. This is one of those movies where like they don't like they've obviously just like made this movie in LA and they don't go out of their way to like
pretend it's
not,
yeah.
Which I'm not like mad about. I think.
Well, I just like that Samurai Cop uses a samurai sword exactly once in the movie.
All of the women in this film are naked.
Oh yeah, every single woman that is in this film does like full nudity.
Yeah,
it's insane.
And one of my favorite parts of this movie was when there's an action scene and then they just cut directly to a sex scene and then they just cut directly to something else.
Yeah, there would be a lot of these moments where there'd be a chase scene, cut to sex, cut back to the end of the chase scene.
Yeah, like a teenage boy definitely edited this movie.
It's like it's paced in a way that's like someone clearly just didn't trust the ability of the story.
Yeah,
the acting really doesn't help it.
It's really not well acted.
Now, I will say, in terms of the Letterboxd reviews, this is like one of the most polarizing films there is. Like, it's just no one can agree where it goes.
So it's got a 2.6 average.
Only because there's so many people that hate on it with a 1 and 1.5 star.
Yeah, I really think that like a half star should be reserved for like the worst of the worst.
This is like a fun,
And
campy
this is
movie.
like, if
I
you
would
watch
say.
this movie, it's not gonna be a horrible time.
I mean, the shots might freak you out. There's a lot of bad in it. Don't get me wrong.
Oh no,
but I
it's
think that
definitely
is
a
the
bad
beauty
movie.
of it. Like,
I definitely don't.
why
know.
is his eye line looking directly into the lens?
Yeah,
It's amazing.
if
It's
you,
so good.
Again, this is one of those movies. Don't take seriously. Go into it looking to have a fun time. Beyond that, it's not really going to serve a lot of purpose to you. Anyway,
So I gave that 5 bags.
I give it one. I give it 1.5 bags.
I said my Letterboxd review. It says this is like Tom Cruise's The Last Samurai, but less offensive. So
This movie somehow manages to be pretty offensive still, but I haven't seen The Last Samurai, so I'm not sure.
imagine a movie where Tom Cruise goes to Japan and saves everything.
Shout out
Tom Cruise. Next up, we got a little cute, really fun, silly, goofy movie. The Animal Crossing the movie.
Did you guys know there was an Animal Crossing movie? I didn't.
I'm sure many of you didn't because
It's a
there's
little
not
bit...
enough outrage about this.
So do you want to explain?
Yeah, this came out in Japan. It's an anime, and it's a full-length film, right? So
87 minutes, yeah.
87 minutes. But at the same time, it's only Japanese. They never bothered bringing this to the West or dubbing it. So some people online, some fans, actually fan-dubbed it. And that's how we were able to watch it.
And this is pretty easily accessible if you just Google Animal Crossing movie fan dub.
Yeah, we can't exactly tell you the exact ways to do it because the YouTube policy will get on us. But
let's
if
just
you
say
Google it,
somebody wanted to, hear more about this.
if you want it enough,
Allegedly.
you can find it. It's super easy.
It's so cute. If you are a fan of Animal Crossing the game,
Or Smash Brothers.
yeah, anything to do with Animal Crossing, you're gonna absolutely love this movie. It really, at least in the beginning, feels like it follows the plot of Animal Crossing Wild World, the DS version, pretty solidly. That's the DS one, yes.
Okay. That's cool. I liked it because it's all like the music was originally composed for the film based on the songs from the game. The voices are all good. I mean, the fan dub is the fan dub. Some mics were like their phone speakers, but hey, you got to find people that can speak Japanese, I guess. No Isabel either. This was before Isabel.
Yeah, you get to meet like Tortimer and Tom Nook, Timmy and Tommy, Brewster, and like they do a really good job.
My
of
favorite one
bringing
was the
world...
penguin, the fishing penguin.
Yeah, they do a really good job of bringing the world of Animal Crossing into.
And also, if you're a gamer like me who likes Nintendo, you might notice that the background art is very similar to the Smash Ultimate World of Light. I don't know if that's a pure coincidence or not, but it's nice to see that the aesthetics are beautiful, and this is a 5-bagger.
Yeah, I rated it 5 bags as well.
I feel like a lot of these video game movies don't use the like Studio Ghibli anime type aesthetic when they kind of should. And a lot of them translate really well.
Yeah, especially for Animal Crossing, which at its core is such like a
feel-good, soft, casual
calming,
gaming.
Yeah. It's
a no-brainer.
They throw in a little bit of action there, but like it's just a nice like.
It's a nice, fun
relaxing.
chilly. I really enjoyed the music.
Yeah, I love Animal Crossing, and it just made me want to go hang out with my villagers on my island.
5 bags indeed for me as well.
Yeah.
Next up, we have Bad Times at the El Royale. This is a film that I saw in theaters when it came out in 2018. This was I was so excited when this came out, and it still holds up really good. I kind of forgot about it there for a second,
I feel like this is one of those movies that just completely flew under the radar. Like, I remember kind of seeing commercials for this, but, like, not a lot. And then, like, no one was really talking about it. And I would like to say that we need to start talking about this movie.
Yeah, this is one of those. If you like Quentin Tarantino films, it's a must-see. If you like John Hamm... Or
if you like, I guess it's directed by the
Jeff
same guy
Bridges.
that did Cabin in the Woods.
Yeah, the humor of it all and like the meaning of it all feels very much Cabin in the Woods energy, but significantly more of a Hollywood experience.
It's definitely a Hollywood movie.
This feels like someone who like really wanted to imitate the sort of feeling you get when you watch The Hateful Eight for the first time.
It
You
was
know?
made by somebody who saw The Hateful Eight, for sure.
And they were like,
For sure.
and they were like, oh, I can do that better. And
It's good.
I really like this. I thought the all the twists and reveals that we're not going to
Yes.
spoil were really
Yeah.
fun. And even on a second rewatching, when you know what's going to happen, I think it still has enough layers to keep it
I was
interesting.
definitely gonna say this is definitely one I don't want to spoil too much because like a lot of it is like the experience of watching the film and figuring out what is even going on with these characters.
Mm-hmm.
Great cast, by the way.
Great
Like,
casting. The music's really great too.
the one thing I will say, Dakota Johnson, please stop being in period pieces. You look like you know what an iPhone is and that you have a jewel in your pocket. And I know that you're supposed to be like this 70s girl, and it's just it doesn't work for me personally. I think her acting is fine. It's just something about her as a human being didn't translate to me into the time period.
I agree, but she's not in it much, and
And-
I really thought
yeah.
Cynthia Erivo
Cynthia Erivo, we love you
she killed it.
so much.
And Jeff Bridges
I am
also had some great lines.
so excited for the Wicked movie to come out because she is amazing, and I need more people to know that Cynthia Erivo slays. She slayed in this, like, oh, and this guy too, the little
Lewis
guy.
Pullman.
Yeah,
Yeah, he was very. There was a lot. Again,
the Tom Holland looking.
the whole
Dude.
casting is great. I think
Great
the
cast.
cinematography was okay. It wasn't anything to write home about. I thought the lighting was better than the cinematography, but we're not going to get into
The
that.
cinematography
This
was.
we're the mediocre movie
We're
makers.
mediocre
We're not the
here.
professional movie makers. All right.
We Sorry, I was just gonna say I think that the cinematography was a lot of the times influenced by
The set
setting
design.
and the set design,
I think
which
the
is
set
so
design-
cool. Based on the famous Cal Neva resort and casino that was once owned by Frank Sinatra.
Ah. Yeah, it's a very fun period piece, and it's a good whodunit. No, not even whodunit. It's a good thriller suspense film. Watch it. It's a fun one if you haven't seen it. 5 bags. What did you say?
I also gave it 5 bags.
Nice.
I thought this was like, you love to watch a movie that's just like, it's concise in what it is. It tells a story that is completely wrapped up almost, for what it is. It's just like you have that experience and that's what it is. It doesn't do more, but it also does exactly what it needs to do.
Mhm.
You love to see it. 5 bags.
5 bags. Next up, we got another 2018 film. This came out at the same year as El Royale, Bad Times at the El Royale. Little Italy.
And I know what you guys are thinking. I love New York City.
I
Wrong,
love Manhattan,
wrong,
New York,
wrong.
Italy pizza. Nope, stupid idiot. This is Toronto, Canada.
Did you guys know there's a Little Italy in Canada? Because we sure did not until halfway. We were clowning on this movie so bad because we were like, this is so funny.
Like,
they
they
filmed it
clearly
in
didn't
Canada. That's hilarious that they're like trying to play it off as New York. They're not even trying to play it off as New York. There's just
It's
a
just-
Little Italy in Canada.
It's like there's like a Chinatown in every city, I guess, but it still feels weird.
It just feels
Like, Chinatown Harrisburg is probably not, like...
like if you made a movie called Chinatown, right? Like no one would. it's
Yeah,
so-
that's exactly what I'm saying. That's
Anyways.
exactly what I'm saying. So, it
This
took us a
is-
second to get into it, but then we realized it's just about a Canadian Romeo and Juliet, but with pizza.
Yeah, this is basically 2 dueling pizza places. Like, their families are dueling. The children kind of have a love interest situation. And if you're wondering who the children are, we
Hayden Christensen and Emma Roberts.
my rom-com queen, Emma Roberts, who can do absolutely no wrong, and Hayden Christensen, who you might know from Star Wars.
As you might know from
and if you're like,
Star Wars.
they're not the same age. No, they're
They're
not.
not.
They're 10 years apart.
There's
and if you're
a
like,
huge
the
age
movie
gap.
probably, touches on that.
No, the movie just does my boy Hayden Christensen so bad because he's supposed to be the same age as this like 30-year-old, but he's 40,
Yeah,
and he just looks so old.
they really like try to make you believe that these 2 people grew up together. And then
Now, what about like the plot? What happens in this movie?
so basically it's a little bit of like a will they, won't they, Romeo
She
and
goes
Juliet.
home. Emma Roberts goes home for like the weekend, but she has to like get something
She has
from
to
home.
change her visa.
She has to change her visa
'Cause
because
she's,
she's
like,
moving
moving away.
to the, like England or whatever. And when she goes back, she like
They
gets into the
rekindle
whole
their romance.
Yeah, and then there's a pizza competition and some whoos and gaffs and
Essentially, they, it's Romeo and Juliet. They're not supposed to kiss, and then they do kiss.
but there's even some more interesting layers with the other members of the family having their own
Okay,
plots,
we
which
need
we're
to
not gonna
talk about that. Like, we really need to talk about this because not only do they end up getting together, tell me why their grandparents end up getting married as well. Like, his grandpa and her grandma.
Yeah,
Does that not make them cousins? Does that not make them cousins?
not biologically. If they're already like 30 years old, like your grandparents can move on. Like they don't have to be widows forever.
So then her grandma is his step grandma. Anyways, it's just there's a layer to this that they don't really touch on, but it is kind of cute. You do kind of love to see like old Italian people fall in love.
Yeah, but it was just kind of a.
It was definitely
could make you raise some questions.
It was definitely a 2018 rom-com vibe to it. Like, it was almost too late for this movie to be made, but they did it anyways.
This movie was like 10 years too late.
Yeah. What did you rate it?
I gave that 3 bags.
I gave it 3 bags as well because
it's such
honestly,
a middle of the road. It's a fine film. It'll kill a few hours. You're not gonna hate yourself for watching it, but like,
especially if you like Emma Roberts, like she does the damn thing.
Especially if you like Hayden Christensen.
If you like Hayden Christensen,
he's actually pretty decent in it. He's supposed to be awkward, right?
Yeah. No, he's good in it.
It's fine.
I think like it's a fine movie. Like I'm not hating on it, but I'm also not like saying that you need to run and watch this movie.
Yeah, your time could probably be spent elsewhere, but it's fine. Anyway, next up is a movie that just came out like last week.
Oh yeah. We went to $4 Cinema Day.
Yeah, which
just
is
a little flex.
A fun, great national holiday.
It is honestly one of my favorite holidays.
Because it's $4 tickets.
The movie's $4.
Which, I mean, if you tell that to someone in the 1930s, they're gonna slap you. Like, that's an insane price to pay.
Little do they know.
Little do they know.
Anyways, we watched Bottoms.
Bottoms.
This is the newest film by Emma Seligman. Written.
Who, if you don't know, did Shiva Baby.
Yeah, I've been really, really excited to see what she did next after I saw Shiva Baby. Which, if you have not seen that movie, highly, highly recommend you check it out. It's honestly incredibly well made, and I've been waiting to see what this director was gonna do next. She paired up with Rachel Sennett again and made Bottoms.
So this movie was marketed as like a lesbian fight club in high school.
Yes.
So it's sort of like these two girls who are like, quote, untalented, ugly gays.
Yeah, that's directly from the movie.
Directly from the movie. I'm not. Listen, I love you, gay people. I'm in with the gays.
We love you, Rachel and Ao.
They're basically put together this club in the guise of it being a self-defense class for women. Mainly in a way to meet women and show them how cool and strong they are and like get women interested in them. And it's got some fun hijinks. Yeah, a lot of good new age humor, a lot of references. It is very crude. I would say almost needlessly crude. Like, there's a handful of lines that feels like, why did you write that? Like,
but
I get it, but why is like the sports announcer being like, fuck your bar mitzvah? Like, what?
Yeah.
I mean, I get it's kind of funny, but it's also like, I don't know. It's a little bit crude for my high class entertainment.
You don't like crude humor at all.
But it's a really fun movie.
Yeah, it's really, really fun, and it's a complete like play off of like old like 2000s rom-com kind of films, like 2000s chick flicks almost in a way, but in a really updated way. Obviously with like pretty much all of the main characters being queer, which I love to see a movie where the main characters are queer and it's not a coming out story.
Yeah, it's just like you can be who you want to be.
Yeah,
and
it's not just like that's part of their character,
like your sole identifying characteristic. It's
you
can have a personality.
Yeah,
too.
And it's a little bit like campy. It's a little bit fun. It's got all of your fun little teenage tropes, I feel like.
Definitely.
And it really, like, if you're a fan of any of those kinds of movies, Mean Girls, any of it, you will like definitely find enjoyment in this movie.
Now, if you heard me say this is like Fight Club and your ears perked up, No, there's like 3 fights.
It's not very...
There's not really fights.
For what fights there are, though, it does get a little bit...
It does, but it also, like, clearly is stunt doubles. Because, like, the close-ups of the girls getting punched always cut before there's any close impact. But
I think
there is some moments of, like, serious gore, especially towards the end. It doesn't... I don't think it necessarily has to be, like, a gory experience, but it was just kind of one of those that the pace of the fighting part of the whole thing is kind of oddly about, in my opinion. But it's a very fun time, and I think a lot of the humor is great, especially with, like, the football jocks.
Oh my god.
Their performances were so good. Jeff and, like, Jeff's friend / bodyguard.
Yeah, everybody was doing really, really amazing at acting. Like, everyone was clearly having fun making this movie, but, like, the play that this movie takes on the football players is just... It's really good.
There's a lot of really funny gags. Yeah. It's very much, like, if you weren't the school jock and you always thought that the school cared a little bit too much about specifically the football team, you're gonna laugh every time. Yeah. It's so funny.
I really like this movie a lot. I give it 4.5 bags.
I really liked it a lot, and I was between a 4 and a little bit lower, and here's why I was a little bit lower. Some of the jokes kind of felt hella uninspired. Like, I've been saying there's a lot of great comedy, but at the same time, they make the joke where the kid all in black is, like, gonna blow up the school. Like,
and you think...
They do that twice, not just once.
Yeah.
Twice.
It feels like, oh, this might be, like, again, like I said, with the references, like, this might be, like, a Heather's reference, or, like, a reference to, like, other kind of media, but it doesn't really do any, like, it doesn't bring anything to it, so I'm not even sure if it is.
If it is a reference, it does no more than the Family Guy. Hey, Lois, remember that time I was in Heather's?
Yeah.
Like, it felt like there was a lot of moments where it was just laugh now, and a surprising amount of the audience was silent. As we said, we saw this in a theater.
We had some crazy
There were some very loud people behind us, but as a whole, I was paying attention to the people around us and just, like, the people in front who, like... You can tell when people laugh, and there were
certain jokes that, like, I felt like were very niche, that I feel like if you get it, you get it, and if you don't, you don't. Yeah. And, like, that's including some that I didn't even understand.
Yeah, but I just meant more in, like, there's a few jokes that were very much like the joke is that they get graffiti, and then they knock it, like, the janitor isn't gonna clean it up, like.
On their lockers, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. And then also, I want to say, the main reason I didn't give this, like, a 4 or even a 3.5 is because this falls into the same pitfalls that a lot of other comedies do, where they take themselves too seriously in the third act. In terms of the plot, because they want you to have this emotional understanding with the characters, where they have this, like, big friendship fight and go their own ways. And it's like, okay, so all of a sudden we're going to pretend this is real? Like, where are the police? There's literally bombs going off and people dying with swords. Like, where are the cops?
Yeah,
if we're going to pretend this is at all, then...
Yeah, it has this moment where it doesn't know if you should take it very seriously or, like, roll with the fact that it's obviously, like, an over-the-top comedy. And I think that's definitely some of the weakest parts in this film. And even, again, if it is a play off of something, it doesn't land.
Yeah.
Because, you know, again, like, I can see how, like, they're following this kind of formulaic, trying to update it, but I think they could have updated that part of it, you know?
Yeah. Honestly, so I gotta give it 3 bags. It's a shame. I really wanted to give it more, but it just felt like they didn't commit to the idea enough. I'm a feminist.
Feminism! Woo!
Anyway, next up.
Moving on.
Next up, we got Mamma Mia 2, Here We Go Again. Now, I worked at the movie theater when this came out, so for that entire year, I heard the song, Ha ha, how can I resist ya?
I saw this movie in movie theaters 3 times.
Yeah, I saw many people return to watch this in theaters, and I've seen it before with you, and now we're going to talk about it on the podcast.
If you are a fan of this podcast, you know that I guess I am a huge fan of the Mamma Mia franchise.
Oh, I thought you were going to say musicals. Like, I like the franchise as well.
We love the Mamma Mia movies.
Not much of a musical head.
Anyways, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say, for all the guys out there, this is just The Godfather 2. This is literally just The Godfather 2. See, the main character's parent dies, so a lot of the film is spent reminiscing about this parental figure.
Yeah, I think we can say Meryl Streep is dead in this.
Yeah, she's absolutely dead. That's not a spoiler.
No,
that's
that
just
happens in the opening
that's just the
shot. And if you're wondering how did Meryl Streep die,
it's
they
never
don't
discussed.
say.
It's
Anyway.
never discussed. But basically, the main parental figure from the last movie dies, and now the new lead, who's by themselves, is often reminiscing, and we see scenes from that parental figure when they were that age, when they were young.
Lily James
and,
as young Donna.
This film does a lot of that same good Godfather 2 cutting together like the same area with like the past and the future. The young mom and the future daughter, they look the exact same to me.
That's
I
good
can't
casting.
tell them apart.
That's good casting.
I don't know if that's good casting because it makes me question what am I looking at. And that sort of harpens.
Just gotta know.
You know, I almost wish that Mamma Mia 1 was her as a child rather than like Mamma Mia 1 being about her daughter's wedding where all she wants to do is find out about her mom at her age. Like, I don't know. This movie, it does feel, here we go again. It feels very redundant. Like all the plot has been talked about and discussed heavily from the first movie. And the parts that they add are only half the movie because the other half is the parts that we're seeing that we've been heard so much about from the first movie.
Yeah, so...
Now, that being a negative Nancy, let's hear the great parts.
Oh, I was gonna say, if you're a fan of the Mamma Mia franchise, you know that this movie takes a bunch of creative liberties as to the timeline of Donna's relationships, which I just think is fun because it messes up the entire canon of the first movie.
And you're saying canon between two films.
Yes.
This and the previous film.
Yes, but it is so... I absolutely love this movie. I love ABBA, I love Mamma Mia, I love anything to do with it, so, like, give me more. Here we go again. Give me more.
I thought the plot that they added in the new part where she basically was going to take over her mom's hotel kind of... Now, you're talking Tommy Wiseau doesn't know how to finish a plot. Like, when did that plot ever happen? She's just like, oh, I want to...
Well, that's what I was going to say. I think, like, part of the problem with this movie is that they just open and they're like, Meryl Streep is dead now. Which, like, everybody who's watched Mamma Mia knows Meryl Streep is Mamma Mia. Like,
she's the mama.
She's the mama. Like, come on. I don't know, like, what if she didn't want to be in this. Or,
she's
like,
in it, though, at the end, in the credits.
Like, I don't know if there was a scheduling issue or what, but, like, it didn't benefit in any way, like, without Meryl Streep. Like, it could have, I think bringing on Meryl Streep could have just made this film stronger, and I honestly think it could have helped the plot a lot, because a lot of the plot is just like,
imagine if the plot revolved around...
we're so sad she's dead. And
imagine if the plot revolved around her dying of old age, or slowly, or something.
It's just kind of hard to, like, watch, like, especially the, like, newer parts of the film where they're just like, oh my god, we're so sad that she's dead, when they don't, like, mention what happened to her.
And now, I will say, that's the real Mamma Mia 2, is that parts in the future.
Yeah.
The Mamma Mia Here We Go Again feels like the 1.5 prequel.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
But I just love
I think
Lily
that part
James.
is great, but the Mamma Mia 2 part, hella weak. So for that, 3.5. Still better than Little Italy.
I give it 4.5. Because I love this movie, and I couldn't rate it anything lower, even if I tried. It's just like...
insane to me.
You're gonna start singing... Fernando, Cher is in this movie, first of all. Didn't even mention that. Cher is literally going to show up in a blonde wig and start singing Fernando, and you don't think I'm going to give this movie 4.5 bags?
Where was Cher's character in the past? In both,
well,
like,
they
Meryl
talk about
Streep's
it.
youth?
She goes to her graduation, and then she's like...
But we don't see Cher.
Yeah, because she goes, oh, my mother didn't show up. That's so typical of my mom. And then in the later ones, Amanda Seyfried, like... She goes like, oh, like, my grandma hasn't been seen anywhere out of Las Vegas in the past, like, 20 years.
Yeah, well, she didn't even show up in the last movie.
Because, like, why would she?
She wouldn't show up to her granddaughter's wedding?
No.
That's insane. I don't understand it.
Why she would show up to this, though, doesn't make any sense. What I would have loved for this movie to be, again, if we got to see Donna die... The funeral. Imagine Cher showing up to her daughter's funeral.
Like, imagine if she tried to, like, reconcile with Cher. There's a whole plot with, like, Donna and
okay,
Cher.
We need to make a Mamma Mia 1.5.
No, I think they missed the ball, and for that, Mamma Mia won't ever get another movie.
They want to make a third one.
They want.
Well, eventually, hopefully they'll make another one, because Lord knows the world could need it.
So next up, we got Guillermo del Toro's hit classic Pan's Labyrinth.
This, I feel like, is the Guillermo del Toro film that I have been missing out on seeing. I'm a really big fan of his work, and I feel like I've just sort of missed seeing this one, and it was good.
You saw Pacific Rim?
No, but...
You saw Nightmare Alley?
No, but, like, I've
Okay.
seen
You saw Pinocchio.
Shape of Water and
Shape of
Pinocchio
Water.
and Hellboy
You saw the first Hellboy.
1, Hellboy 1.
So yeah, so this movie's fun because it's like, if you don't know it, you just know the guy with the eyes on his hands. But like, there's actually a ton of plot. I would say it's kind of similar to the hit video game Undertale, in terms of plot, but less anime. This is very much about a girl whose dad is dying or dead, and so their mom is marrying a new bad dad, and this bad dad happens to be the general of the Spanish army during the Spanish Civil War or something. And
If you've seen Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, it sort of has a similar plot
very
to
similar
that.
plot.
But this is like a little bit more rooted in, like, it has
History.
like a half whimsical and then like half like army.
It has like this like forgotten fantastic fantasy underworld and like this like army military
Yeah.
plot first and foremost.
Yeah, it was really interesting to go into it because like I said, I don't know a lot about this movie.
I feel like all the marketing is about the fantasy parts, and it's
Yeah.
like there's so much of the movie that's just
It's
not
just
that.
not. But it's still so interesting, the other parts as well. And you love to see a girl boss winning.
Yeah, it's definitely great. I don't know if I would say she wins, but
Not her, but the other one.
Oh, the other girl boss
Yeah.
winning. Yeah, there's a lot of really good moments, and I think it's a fun film. Five
Yeah.
bags.
I don't really want to like spoil it, but like it really does give like there's kind of two separate plots going on, and I think that like the whimsical one it is done so well, like with like each little thing that she has to do kind of
Yeah.
it gives
I just wish Guillermo del Toro could just make a full fantasy film that doesn't
Yeah.
have to be centered in reality.
yeah
Like-
it does it really that really like grounds it, but like I don't know
I need to be grounded in a Guillermo del Toro experience. You
Yeah, because I would kept almost getting into it, and then they would go back to like this other storyline, which like I was still interested in, but there was just a lot going on. I will say I love his practical effects, love them so much, but I do think that like
The
with
CGI
his practical
is
effects
bad.
being so good, it makes the CGI effects look.
That's another
not.
Guillermo del Toro classic.
Ugh,
Because
I
like
know.
all the CGI, even in Hellboy, the CGI looks horrible.
It's
A
tragedy.
He does such good
because
practical
he does such good practical effects.
that you just can't really match it. Like
I wish he would just lean into like fully practical.
that's
I feel like
what he did in Pinocchio.
yeah. I don't know.
5 bags though.
I gave it 4 bags because afterwards I kind of
Not as
felt.
good as Mamma Mia 2.
I gave it 4 bags because afterwards I felt kind of weird. Like if you've ever finished watching a movie and you're left with like a kind of unsettling, weird feeling. Sometimes I like to get that feeling, but after this, I don't know. It wasn't sitting with me like perfectly. So I just rated it 4 bags. But it was really good. I liked it a lot. Next up, we watched another Seth Rogen classic.
This is a Seth Rogen classic. I didn't know that.
No, I've never heard of this movie until I picked it off of your
See,
list.
I was
Hi, I'm editing. For some reason, we just don't say the name of the movie in this, but it's called Zack and Miri Make a Porno.
Yeah, basically the plot of this movie is kind of just they make a porno.
So Seth Rogen and Elizabeth Banks are roommates and longtime childhood friends, and they just decide to act and co-create a porno together. Now they're not just only sexing each other; they also got like other actors to do sex, and then they're gonna sex those other actors as well as each other, and it's a whole thing.
But
then there's
when their big scene comes up,
they do sex, and then afterwards they don't want to have sex with anyone else because they fall in love.
yeah, it sort of takes a hardcore turn to
Talk about a comedy movie that like takes
Just-
itself too seriously.
yeah, it's funny, it's kind of campy, goofy, and then all of a sudden it's
The first,
oh,
third
you-
of it is
yeah.
like okay, and you're like okay, yeah, this could be funny, and then like
hard turn to just like
them like love making.
Yeah.
And it just becomes like a full blown rom-com, which it wasn't. Like it's just not a good.
The movie, yeah, it was honestly like it was a fine. I kind of liked the beginning part of it more.
The opening is definitely the strongest part.
When they go to like their high school reunion or whatever. I think that is like fun, but like then they get into this whole like making of a porno, and like it's not that fun. I don't know. It's a classic Seth Rogen 2009 movie. Like I don't know what you want from me.
Yeah.
I gave
a lot of
it
people on Letterboxd saying Justin
3
Long is the
bags.
best part of this.
Justin Long. First of all, I don't think we're supposed to stand Justin Long. Second of all, don't.
I'm not saying we stand him. I'm just saying people. That's what many people are saying on Letterboxd.
I liked his part. I thought he was actually pretty funny in
I
it.
thought he had a funny character.
Yeah, actually.
Okay, so next up is probably the worst Seth
stinker of the
Rogen
week.
movie. This is the stinker of the week, and it's also like the worst.
The
Seth
stinker
Rogen.
of all time, maybe.
This is the worst Seth Rogen film I've ever seen in my life.
This might be the worst film I've ever seen in my life.
This genuinely, I think, is the worst Seth Rogen film he's ever been in.
Did you want to say it, or should we say it at the same time?
Sausage Party.
So I picked this movie. Okay, mostly because like I never saw this movie before, and I've always kind of felt like I missed out on the cultural moment of like seeing this movie. Like for some reason, in my brain, like when this movie came out, everyone was talking about it, and I was like, it came out in 2016, so I felt like I was probably like not too young, but just like not really interested in watching this kind of movie, and so I never did. And then I was like, I kind of have always wanted to see what it was about. Boo.
Yeah, it's so bad.
I don't even know what to say. I hate this movie.
Only because I know
genuinely
both our
hate this
families
movie.
watch this show. I don't want to like talk too much about this one because
So,
the more you
what-
describe it, the more graphic you have to be.
Yeah.
So this film does what Foodfight does, but worse, marginally. It's so bad because it's like all the food in the grocery store comes to life, kind of like Toy Story, but you don't want all your food to come to life because that's just a bad visual. And I think this film realizes that because the whole plot is like, oh, the food's so happy to get bought, and then it realizes that the humans are eating it, and the food's not happy to be bought, and then like there's the end of the movie.
Yeah, basically, not to be too graphic,
The
but
food starts like fighting back.
let's just say the hot dogs are men and the buns are women. There'll be visuals on the
It's just-
screen, whatever we can put up without being demonetized.
It is just the most
but
childish, sexist white bro. film,
it is
like, ever
somehow
made.
offensive. You would not think a movie. I guess like, it's about a grocery store, but like you would not think a movie about like
There's so much
hot
race
dogs
humor.
coming to life.
80% of the humor is just race.
Yeah,
Like, oh, the bagel is a gay Jewish guy.
and yeah, you get like you just get
The
like
taco
offensiveness
is like,
towards so many different groups of people.
And it's crazy too, because this is made by the whole like super bad cast, basically.
Yeah, like it's
Michael
not.
Cera, Barry Bill Hader from Barry, Jonah Hill, James
Paul
Franco.
Rudd is in this apparently.
Yeah, Paul Rudd was in this, and Nick Kroll. Like, it's just bad. This movie just like the animation looks okay, I guess, by 2016 standards, but
It kind of
by
just gives
modern
that
standards,
separate,
it's
like,
very uncanny and gross.
It's just gross. Like
It's
just
so
the way
gross.
that they chose to animate it is gross. And I was thinking
Gross.
about this earlier. The amount of people that this movie had to like go through to be made, not only coming up with a plot, but like coming up with the characters and like their designs and all of the dialogue and all of that stuff. The amount of people that are involved in that like decided this was a good thing to make blows my mind. Because
Yeah, just fundamentally, like, why would you make a film that opens up child-friendly and all cute with animated characters to then, like, become, like, the grossest, raunchiest, racist, sexist comedy ever made? Why would you do that?
yeah.
So I
like,
bet you there are many children who watched this at a very young age that shouldn't have.
I don't even want to know. Like, I can't with this movie. I really did not like it. I thought the most redeeming thing about it is that, like, the animation of the sausage guys, because they're quite literally just a stick.
With, like, little gloves.
With faces is, like, slightly cute.
I liked the hot dogs, kind of, but everything else was horrible. So, I just one bag.
Yeah,
not quite the half bag. We did make it the whole way through.
I gave it one bag because, like, on a fundamental level, it's like the animation is like not. It's not Foodfight levels of animation. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, imagine Foodfight levels of plot though.
Yeah. Anyways, one bag.
If Foodfight had this level of animation, we'd know which one was superior.
That's true.
Since we don't, they're going to be the same rating for right now.
Yeah. Forever.
Forever, I guess. I don't think I'm ever going to watch these movies again.
I really am. I'm glad that I watched it just to say that I watched it, but am I glad that I put my time into watching that film? No.
Yeah. Those 89 minutes could have been spent elsewhere.
Anyways.
Now, if you remember, we talked about The Room at the start of this episode, one of my favorite movies. Now, that was inspired by one of the classic cinema films, 1955's Rebel Without a Cause.
You're tearing me apart!
You're tearing me apart!
Oh, that was good.
You gotta put passion into it.
You're tearing me apart!
You started passion, but you gave it up by the end of the word tearing.
I chickened out.
You did a little chicky run.
Yeah.
This is such a good film. It's classic. It's about a bunch of troubled teens who are just trying to make it in this crazy world. Really, it's just about teenagers being the worst kind of people you've ever met, basically. But in the 50s sense.
Yeah, this movie...
It's fun because they don't really swear as much. It's, like, not crude. They call it... The main word that people get offended by is chicken.
Yeah, like, I was just about to say, it's, like...
It's amazing.
It's a breath of fresh air to see, like... How, like, even, like, these bad kids, like, how they acted, and it's, like...
And also, this isn't a comedy film. This isn't, like, bad kids being bad to be funny or whatever.
No, it's, like,
it's
serious.
This is, like, bad kids who have, like, troubled parents or have, like, deep psychological issues. That's the theme of the film.
And I think...
Main theme of the film.
Yeah, it is an interesting take. I think the only thing that I...
It does have a lot of that age problem where you go, wait, there's no black people.
Yeah.
Wait, how come they just so casually say you can hit a woman with an open fist?
Yeah, there's a
lot of that. It's 1955.
Gender norms that are being so...
It's very pro-gender
effortlessly pushed into the characters of these films. It's very much of the time, so I don't even feel like I can criticize, like, that in terms of, like, the plot of this movie, because that's just the background of what was going on. But it is definitely extremely jarring to like hear James Dean be like, I really wish my dad would just punch my mom.
Well, no, he didn't say wish. He said he would respect his dad more.
Yeah.
But I don't think the film is necessarily encouraging that.
Yeah.
More so as it's making a comment about that.
Yeah.
And it's honestly really good. And the plot that revolves around James Dean's character is so much that he moves to a new town. He just wants to make some friends. He doesn't want to get into fights, but, like, trouble seems to follow him.
Yeah, and I really like that. Like, I think it's just done really well.
And it's like he can't explain it to his parents. His parents are like, why are you always getting in trouble? And he's like, you don't even want to listen to me. Yeah. And it does like that really well. And you can see what the interesting parts is how this film has inspired countless dramas since then. Notably, Tommy Wiseau was greatly influenced by this film, and that was one of the leading things that created The Room. And if you ever watch The Room, which, again, no, it's a very bad movie, which is part of the reason why it's so good. If you ever do watch that, watch it with the lens of someone who loves Rebel Without a Cause. It will completely change how you view the movie.
These two films, I feel like, definitely...
There's a very strong connection between the two of them, and it's not just the funny line, "You're tearing me apart, Lisa!" Yeah. Like, it's more than just the funny. There is an actually legitimate mindset, and also the masculinity
Tommy Wiseau loved
problems
cinema.
Too. He did. This is now. That's not to say this film is without its flaws. I mean, it's not perfect, but I'd say it's fine.
You've got that James Dean daydream Look in your eyes. 'Cause
I
James
first saw
Dean.
this black and white. So
I also wanted to. Really?
it's originally published black and white.
Oh, I didn't know that.
You didn't think the line about his red jacket just came out of nowhere? There's a line later in the movie where his dad's like, when I saw his red jacket, I almost thought.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, it's at the end of the movie. Why did you need to clarify that jacket was red?
I see. One of my favorite parts about this movie was that the main like love interest characters are named Jim and Judy, which is my grandparents' names. I just thought that was cool. It's like very of the times names, you know, so probably not uncommon, but
I always like watching old movies because it's like, oh wow, that's old.
yeah, you love to see. It's just fun sometimes
just
to look
fun.
at the fashion and the way
Like-
that they act,
Like
and
the
names
lingo,
and
like
the,
yeah, it's all very
This
fun.
is from 1955. I don't know if we said.
Yep, I would say it's probably James Dean's best film that I've personally seen, but he's done a handful of them.
He definitely has been in movies, that's sure. It's good. What did you rate it? I rated it 4 bags.
I gave it 4 bags. It's classic teenage
It's
angst.
classic, yeah. I
don't
think
know.
like it's definitely one that I feel like maybe a lot of people haven't like.
I know like the
thought to
Bicycle
look
Thief
into.
did it first, but like
Bicycle Thief. I just had like a reaction to you saying that. Pratt
What?
moment. Pratt moment.
Jean-Luc Godard handled some of those like troubled teenagers plots, but really this was like the first American Hollywood plot. So
America.
as someone who loves coming of age stories,
As someone who loves America.
anyways, that's it for this week.
That's all we watched.
Yeah, we're gonna have to watch more movies.
That was a pretty. I feel like that was a pretty solidly packed. We got some really good ones. We've got some middle of the road ones, and we got some real stinkers. And I feel like that's you know
That's the trademark of
the
a good
variety,
podcast. People
yeah.
come here to hear movie opinions, so they don't have to watch all the movies.
Please
they can
never watch Sausage Party, guys. And if you've already watched it, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
That
However,
society made you feel like you had to.
if you do want to watch a
Watch
really
one-
bad movie, watch Food Fight.
Or Little Italy.
No, Little Lily's not really bad. I'd say Samurai Cop or The Room if you want a really bad
And if you want a
movie.
good movie, watch Bad Times at the El Royale.
Or Bottoms.
Yeah, go check out Bottoms. It's in
Or
theaters
Pan's
right
Labyrinth.
now, and we love. I wanted to say this about Bottoms also. We love to see movies in theaters that are written, directed, starring, produced by, music by, edited by women. Anyways, it's always fun to see women's names come up so much in the credits when you're at the movie theater. I think that's fun, and it's fun to celebrate women. And go see Bottoms, and if you haven't, go see the Barbie movie. So
anyway, thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next time where we'll be talking about more
make
movies.
sure you like and subscribe to the Mediocre Movie Majors podcast anywhere you can get podcasts.
Yeah, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music.
The internet. Just, search us up.
And if you don't have internet, we're going to start putting these on CD-ROMs. So check your local Best Buy for
Yep,
the
yep,
unmarked, unpriced CD sitting in the shelves.
Yep. Peace.